He's a phantom.
Hey everybody, we're gonna learn everything about Revenant. And my goodness, there's so many little details to know. So check the contents in the description for easy access around this in-depth guide. This is the Disms channel. I'm David, and we're gonna have a lot of fun uncovering the secrets behind Revenant. We'll start with his signature weapon, the Tatsu. Although I don't get why it's dedicated to him when he's not even shown holding it in the game. Okay, that's a little better. Anyway, after killing a unit, this weapon gains a Soul Swarm charge for 120 seconds. Afterwards, sliding attacks will fire a homing missile that stuns its target. Unless the enemy has mad dodging skills. Aww. On the positive side, more kills can store up to 5 charges leading to more missiles, and when held with just Revenant, this is boosted up to 9, making this unique move slightly cooler. Also, the Phantasma shotgun, his other signature weapon, has 15 magazine capacity instead of the usual 11, which is hardly noticeable since it reloads so quick. But now, how to get his blueprints. When in Cetus, you'll find his parts are from bounty missions with our favourite tribesman, Kanzu.
Ah, Tino. Good oots.
Ah, my man. Anyway, once you have the systems, Cetus wisps are found around inland water on the plains. Loot mods make them easy to locate on the minimap. Since they only spawn once when they enter the plains, you can just fly around the main lake over and over like me, or go to every possible location shown here. Make sure you catch them quick, or they will fly away. Drink. Ah, but really, they will disappear if you don't get them quick enough. What? Okay, don't worry, they're not that rare. Just like intact sentient cores, which are gained by killing Vombalus and any Eidolon with your operator. That means you need to have completed the second Dream quest, which is also crucial for his main blueprint from the Mask of Revenant quest. To complete this, you must have at least one Revenant part in your inventory and be level 2 in the quills to even start it, meaning you need to trade even more sentient cores to Uncle. Then after that, talk to little Mancell in the cag. Buy the Revenant mask off her, then put it on.
What have we got?
Then head out into the night. Once you hear Nakak talk, go to these locations on the map and touch the spooky ghost hands on the ground until you fight Revenant himself, which should be pretty easy to take down. Then afterwards, Nakak will show her appreciation.
Thanks for the nightmares.
And you have the Revenant blueprint. The blueprint cannot be sold, and this quest can't be repeated. Once he's reached level 30, you'll see he's unmatched in base shield capacity, while everything else is around average. What we're really going to focus on is his abilities. Beginning with his passive, Sentient Retaliation, which makes Revenant completely immune to magnetic draining effects on the plains in nighttime water. And when he runs out of shields, he emits a damaging radiation pulse. Okay, the pulse thing isn't really strong, especially in the heat of battle. But the water thing's pretty cool for fishing when you don't want your screen to go all crazy. And now, before we get into the real abilities, just know most of the information is from the Warframe Wiki, where you'll see numbers like these, meaning the ability's power at different levels, and how strength, duration, and range mods will improve the move. And all of Revenant's abilities benefit from efficiency and casting speed mods. Stats under MISC mean mods won't affect this part of the ability at all. Now that that's clear, let's get into the real abilities, like Enthrall. Convert a single enemy into an ally that fights for you, and any successful attacks they land on others converts more enemies. These thralls take damage from all sides, except each other. This works on most enemies unless they're a boss or special target, making the effect completely ineffective or shorter, depending on the unit, and what level they are is irrelevant. If a thrall deploys a unit, they are permanently a fully fledged ally. Enemies with aura effects will stop harming you and stop buffing allies, but they won't buff you. Take note that aura damage won't convert enemies. It has to be a successful attack landed on the enemy. Go on, get him! Beat him up! Oh my. The number of thralls you have is indicated here. Once you have 7 thralls, you and your slaves can't make any more.
Master, we cannot enthrall him.
That fixed it. At least I gave that thrall a shut. So when these thralls die, they unleash a pillar which inflicts puncture damage over time. On top of that, they fire missiles that deal some damage and travel some distance towards unthralled enemies. It's about this far. The most important thing is the missiles have a high chance of enthralling more enemies. Although these missile enthralled guys don't create any of these pillars on death. Also, Enthrall costs 0 energy when an enemy is stunned by Revenant's second ability, Mesmer Skin. Unlike most shields that absorb an amount of damage, this move absorbs a certain amount of individual attacks from Revenant, then reflect the full damage back to the enemy with that nice lengthy stun. Oh, but this makes them look so bummed out when they fail. Ooh, I'm going to get him. I'm gonna...
They ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine, but you just can't get in.
Fool. Anyway, most enemies will only consume 1 charge of Mesmer Skin per attack animation or move, though some rapid attacks are considered individual moves, usually from bosses. Status damage, self-damage, and a few other things will still go through, but will only deal damage down to 2 HP and consume no charges, essentially making Revenant immortal. However, recasting Mesmer Skin leaves a dangerous window of vulnerability. And of course not all units are stunned by this, but all damage will be directed back to them. This makes Revenant unbeatable in PvP, so long as he has time to activate Mesmer Skin. If only people played those game modes. Regardless, this move truly is one of the strongest defensive abilities in the game. Although it falls short with how quick charges go down against multiple enemies, along with how slow the casting animation is, Mesmer Skin does make up for it with the stun, and how it's improved with Revenant's third ability, Reave. And that's how Luigi died. Nah, I'm just kidding. He's alright. Reave is a dash with a wide hitbox that drains health and energy from every enemy it comes in contact with, based on their max numbers. Revenant is immune to damage in this form, and if he had any status effects on him while reaving, they are transferred onto the enemies he passes through. One cast can drain enemies multiple times by turning around. Just remember, he can't rotate while in the air though. Just glide with right click. By itself, this attack is a nice dash to skip by enemies and heal, but used on enthralled enemies, Reave will steal 5 times more shields and health from them. With ability strength at 250%, Revenant can one-shot any enthralled enemy, as long as they don't have damage reducing armor. Also, while Mesmer Skin is active, it restores 1 charge per thrall that Revenant passes through up to the full charge count, and any ally or companion he touches will gain a Mesmer Skin charge. Note, they can only hold 1 at a time and don't survive on 2 HP from attacks that pass through Mesmer Skin, unlike Revenant. And Reave's energy cost is halved and activates instantly while using the ultimate final ability. That's right, spin to win! Dance Macabre fires 9 50-meter lasers in an up-down-like circle, dealing damage per second that cycles between gas, radiation, and corrosive, depending on the enemy's biggest weakness at the time, out of the 3, along with a 20% status chance from each laser. Ability range mods will only increase the thickness of the laser. They're pretty long anyway, with innate punch through. which means the overall amount of distance a bullet can travel through enemies and objects in its lifetime. The Lenka has the most punch through, going through about this far with mods, while Dance Macabre can go this far. Although sometimes you won't be able to see the piercing lasers, they're still doing their job. Really, by using Ivera and controlling the bullet, I realized punch through can be a little janky, as certain parts of a surface will stop the bullet completely. At least Dance Macabre hits on so many surfaces, some lasers will likely hit something. But more on the positive side, you can increase how fast you ominously levitate by holding sprint while activating the ability in any position, which can get even quicker with sprint speed mods and effects. What's weird is nothing increases the spin rate, but cold status will slow it down. If you press the ability while also pressing the operator button, you can safely exit the move without doing the slow, vulnerable wind down. Holding the shoot button will double the damage, status chance, thickness, and energy cost of the laser. On top of that, whenever he takes damage, it is stored to give a boost to the power of the laser beams. The pool will always go down at the same rate and provide the same percentage boost. From what I gather, is around double damage. Making all up, with the left click, Revenant able to do 4 times more damage. With that double. Though even without this boost, the energy drain is pretty taxing. And what's worse is when Revenant casts it, he can only restore energy from these things. That means no help from the main sources like Trinity, Energizing Dash, Energy Siphon, or even energy drops. So you'll likely have to stop spinning to charge back up every once in a while. By itself, it does a fair bit of damage, but mixed with other abilities, it's about the same. Enthralled enemies that are killed by this ability, and they have to be killed, will drop 50 shields, or 50 over shields if you're at a maximum capacity. Just like any other drop, allies will see them too and can pick them up. Also, energy pillars explode to inflict tiny bits of radiation damage when struck by Dance Macabre lasers. But the problem is this absolutely sucks because it stops the awesome missiles and constant damage for this tiny pulse. And another weird combo is how after reaving, Revenant can now spin extra fast or slow by clicking in a clockwise or counterclockwise direction respectively. It's a bit easier to do on joystick. Spinning fast won't get you any more damage, but if you manage to time it right with the slow things, you can hit the laser on people consistently. So overall, this is an incredibly strong ability to hit vast amounts of enemies with tons of damage. Don't worry, I got this. I'm going turbo.
Stop doing your gay twirly thing and stop capturing these points. We're gonna lose.
It's okay. Defeat is not an option.
They're still ahead of us.
Hey, it's fine. Okay, so what I meant is it's only alright on flat stages with dense amounts of enemies. It's hard to compare Dance Macabre's damage to other Warframe moves though, since it's one of the few abilities that stops the player from using any weapons to do damage. But with how complex Revenant is, sometimes it's good to keep it simple. With this build, spin to win. Never stop using Dance Macabre and holding shoot for strong lasers with energy and efficiency. The rest is for damage, and make sure to pick up energy before spinning for energy conversion to kick in. Duration is so low though, that you won't be able to use Enthrall or Reave. Also, just to mix up this build, you can put on, say, Rolling Guard, to make sure that when you refresh Mesmer skin, you can safely do it. This build is mainly for relying solely on your 4 ability to get everything done. It's great for leveling up Focus or Affinity with Revenant, or certain flat maps where you can make use of punch through. But now, another way to play Revenant is to use these 4 more like an actual ultimate, and just have maxed out ability strength to wipe out tons of people in a bind. This also provides you with 19 Mesmer skin charges, but remember the enemies won't be stunned for long. Unlike with my favorite build, where we take all the duration mods and 250% strength, so Reave one-shots thralls and becomes one of the fastest frames. This makes thralls and missile pillars last long too, with the only downside being you have to get closer to land some abilities. Another speed build here is the one where you max out sprint speed with Dance Macabre to wipe out low level enemies while levitating super fast. I think this is mainly for fun though, but it can be a bit more manageable than using Reave around the place. If we size Revenant up to other Warframes, he falls a little short. In terms of taking over enemies, Nyx can make all enemies in a large radius go on a killing spree, or boost the damage of slaves with her one. While Necros can make 7 allies too, but they have a damage buff. At least Revenant can create those nice damaging pillars, or one-shot most thralls. And when it comes to Mesmer skin, sadly he needs to reactivate it too often. Unlike Rhino, who can just absorb way more damage and be immune to all status effects, Wukong and Oberon can become immune to dying, and of course the Nidus and Inaros Juggernauts can just heal up any damage while fighting. At least it does provide that stun, and it makes Enthrall cost no energy. All up, what's really holding Revenant back is how impractical his synergy is. For now, it's too difficult to stun enemies with Mesmer skin, then put Enthrall them, and be able to accurately Reave or dance Macabre at everyone. However, this could actually work if there was some way to cast abilities while spinning, or have a cool way to jump around these bumpy maps with Reave, or even by using Enthrall pillars to push Revenant up. Eh? Sounds like a pretty cool idea. So, until Revenant's abilities smoothly work together, or Dance Macabre becomes a more versatile ability, Revenant will always lean on the edge of being that amazing top tier Warframe. For more fun, completely detailed guides, along with a few other video game ideas I'm cooking up, subscribe to Disms. Till then, keep having fun on Warframe.